Let's hear it for Artis. Go Artis. Clap.
1, 2, 3. All right, Stephen, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, studio audience, for coming out to what is Art This number 15. So
Yes.
Thank you all.
Art This, the show about the work that makes art work. That's Art This. And I'm John Modaff, that's Stephen Middleton, and we are your hosts tonight. We have student productions,
We do.
and we have features, and we have live music. It's a
We do.
jam-packed show. What have you got going?
Well, we got a couple student features coming up here in just a minute. But first, why don't you tell them a little bit about what's going on back here?
We are honored to have with us Rob McNerlin, recording artist, and friends who will be playing some music, talking about how his art gets made, and playing some more music, and talking about his new CD released just a couple of months ago. So we're really fired up about that.
That's right.
And tell us what we're doing with students this month.
Well, first, we got a couple student pieces coming up here. But first, we're going to show a feature done on John Flavel, our good friend, colleague, and roving soldier, as I like to call him. Interesting piece here on photojournalism. John Flavel would not call himself an artist in the traditional sense of the artists that we've featured in the past.
True.
But there is a great art that goes into the photojournalism that he has created. And one of the pieces we're going to take a look at here with John is West Liberty 1 year later, which documents West Liberty just hours after the tornado of 2012, all the way up to the 1 year anniversary. And these are quite intense and amazing framing and by our good friend John Flavel. So let's take a look at that first.
All right.
I didn't move a thing, didn't arrange a thing. It's all there, you know. I don't have to do anything. It was a rough spot to get into without being intrusive or without knocking things over, but nobody batted an eye. And again, I had been there for an hour before this picture was taken, so everyone in the room was used to me being there. After a while, I become part of the landscape where I'm not being intrusive, and I think I watch television people work, or I watch younger photographers work, who are, you know, they're determined to get the picture without understanding that they could be influencing the situation. You don't want to influence the scene, so that's the trick. This was the only artifact that came out of one of the churches. That was a huge church downtown that was knocked over. This is one. During a service weeks later, I think it was up in the Morehead State University building up there. Yeah, it's where they held services. They put this up to make sure that, you know, everybody understood this was all that was left. And then this is the hands coming together. I like hands anyway, and I usually make pictures of hands while they're creating music or pottery or whatever. And this here, they're being used for sympathy. And this is much later, after the tornado. Crews and volunteers came from all over the country, and in this case, a lot of the headstones were knocked over. So they showed up to help write those. And this is an image, the guy walking through, and again, it's not a setup. That's exactly the way I found it. This was only a couple of days after the tornado, and he's related to the person who lived there somehow. And he's trying to find artifacts and things from the family that are important to the family. And I just waited. He was walking in the background quite a bit, and I wanted to make a picture of him with that portrait, that painting or poster, whatever it is in the foreground. And I thought he was going to come right off at me, but he didn't. He turned and even made it better. He moved into the room. He just gave me this beautiful composition, and I didn't have to intrude, impede, or anything. I go to black and white because it's a preference to me. All of this texture that's in this photograph, and in a lot of these photographs, especially with the hands, there's texture there that you kind of lose when they're in color. It's just the way the light is, and even in color film it was that way. You kind of lose a little bit of the texture, and I really love texture more than anything. Now this one was, again, not a setup. That is the New Testament on an almost mirrored piece of material, and the guy is hammering. He's not hammering on this, but the reflection is there. And I spoke with him for a good long time before making the picture. And what he's trying to do is salvage things. He owned a bunch of trailers through there, and he was trying to salvage what he could. And the first and I said the Bible just happened to be sitting there, so I moved over to try to get it. And this is what it looked like right after, and he put the Boy Scouts in it. By God, they're going to have a parade regardless. And again, it's the texture of everything that matters. And then this closed up. This is Mark. I can't remember Mark's name off the top of my head, but he's the mayor now. And he's also a deacon of one of the churches. So every Easter he does this. And the Easter after the tornado, he decided he was going to do it anyway. And this is an ambush. He told me where he was going to walk, and I noticed the pedestal where the doughboy used to be, this tree which used to be much, much fuller, and all the damage back here when you look into the photograph of the old courthouse and the new courthouse being built back here. And the sun, and I just waited for him to come up that walk. And if it hadn't worked, I would have had to find something else. If he had been a couple of inches either way, this would not have worked, because I can't and won't have him go back and do it again.
Right.
But I was pretty proud of that. I ended with that one. I don't have a religious preference in any of this, but they do, and he does. And it's not my job to make a judgment on it. It's my job to make a picture that shows his feeling about it, his perception about it. That he was going to do what he had always done on Easter. He was going to make that walk.
Thank you. We are back here on Art This. Sitting here with me is John Tanner Blevins, one of our student producers and CVM students here. Tanner went out this week and did a fantastic piece on a local Moorhead artist. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it, Tanner?
I chose to feature a student here, actually, in the art and design department. It was Sarah Vaughn, and she does a lot of really great illustrations and some really good graphic design work. So I got her to delve into her process a little bit and got a pretty good interview with her. So let's check that out now.
Let's take a look.
My art's very personal, and I don't often tell people what it's about, and I don't often tell people that it is personal. In fact, I don't like talking about my art at all. I like people to be able to look upon what I've made and come to their own conclusion, put their own ideas on it, project themselves into the piece if they want. I think that's very important, to be able to project yourself into somebody else's artwork. It doesn't need to be about what the artist is thinking, and I think one of the problems we have, especially with analyzing artworks and art history, is we try too often to figure out what the artist was thinking when they made it, instead of really looking at the piece and appreciating it for what it is and coming up with your own thoughts about it. Well, my name is Sarah Vaughn, and I'm a junior at Moorhead State University, and I'm currently in the design department. I draw very heavily on personal experience and relationships with, I guess, just my surroundings. I'm constantly trying to figure out a way to express personal thoughts and situations that have happened that I've been in through my art. You know, it's very unorganized. I do a lot of thinking, tons of mental brainstorming, and thinking about first of all, I have to figure out who I want to draw or paint. And then after I figure out the person, the subject matter, I'm going to have to figure out my method of doing that, as in, do I want to paint it? Do I want to do a digital piece in Illustrator or Photoshop, or do I want to draw it? I take like for something like this, definitely a lot of reference photos. I can draw from my head pretty well. Like, I have some pretty good references for posing and figure work and facial structure and all that, like mental references, but definitely take photographs. So just go from there, and looking at other people's work is really important to me, because I think that you can learn a lot just by looking at other people's artwork and trying to examine, just deconstructing what they've done and how you can incorporate their work, their skills into your own skill set. With this, I would have a mental checklist. Like I don't like start in a corner and then go up. Sometimes I'll work on this part and I'll get tired of working on this. And when I know I'm tired of working on a certain segment, like if I'm tired of working on this part, I know I need to move on because I'm going to mess this up if I continue working on it. Because I kind of feel like there's this balance between your attitude while you're working on the piece and how it comes out is really affected by that. So if you're not in a very good mood, if you've got an attitude about it, like any kind of attitude, like especially one that's leaning towards I'm frustrated, I don't like how this looks, or this is really difficult, stop. Move on to another part because you're going to be rash and you're going to mess it up. And even if you don't think you've messed it up, well, let me rephrase that. Even if it doesn't look messed up to somebody else, but you think it looks messed up, it's messed up. I'm really into illustration at the moment, but at the same time, like if this is illustration, this is graphic design. And within the graphic design category, typography. I'm very into typography. I've always, like just as much as drawing when I was really little, I've always just looked at text, looked at graphics, you know, driving down the road, thousands of billboards, signs, McDonald's signs, you know, anything like that. And I've just focused on what they say, what their tagline is, and how I could fix it even. Like I've just automatically can I reword this in any way? It's just something, it's like I've always done it. And, you know, the shapes, the curves of the letters, like that actually make up a word. Typeface, that's what that would be, you know, just looking at the descenders and, you know, the whole format of it. If it's serif or sans serif, like I've always paid attention to it and I love it. It's an obsession almost. I initially do rough drafts on paper, and which I use a Wacom tablet. It's a digital drawing tablet. Like I use that a lot, but I don't do any initial rough drafts with a digital drawing tablet. I do it all by hand, and I just feel more, I don't know, collected when I start out drawing it by hand and then, you know, bring it over digitally. But I do tons of rough drafts digitally after that. You know, once I get an idea going, I try to find ways to do it differently that I think might work better. But yeah, I usually finish most of my pieces in Photoshop. It's a way of clearing my mind and kind of an escape. So when I'm sitting there and I'm just, it's almost like I'm on autopilot, honestly. I think that that's better than any other escape you can have from everything that's going on around. And inside, too. Frequently, my work is in the display case, so you can go downstairs and check it out if you want. I don't know how I feel about art in shows. You know, I kind of don't like it. I don't like, at the same time I want people to be able to see my art and get a feeling from it, like it evokes an emotion, but at the same time I kind of just want to hide it and throw it away.
Oh, thank you, everybody. You're so kind. What a fabulous audience. We are thrilled to have Rob McNerlin in the studio. Rob has released 7 CDs, including Cowboy Boot Heel, which was recorded at Johnny Cash's Cabin Studio and produced by John Carter Cash, with a duet featuring guest Ramblin' Jack Elliott. Rob's original Lonesome Valley Again reached 26 on the Freeform American Roots chart and 55 on the Americana chart, where it was in the top 100 for more than 2 months. Rob has toured North America, England, and Australia, and I understand the LaGrange prison at some length. Yes. He's solo with the Beatnik Cowboys and has hit the road with Ramblin' Jack Elliott and Hot Tuna. Please give a warm Artist welcome to the last of the Beatnik Cowboys, Mr. Rob McNerlin.
Early morning, almost dawn. Saddle the pony, the sound of leather reins on the saddle horn. How I hate to leave my chorus on. Up in the mountains I see snow as my cowboy boot heel taps out the rhythm of my soul. Don't ask how long I'll be gone, heading for the hills of the unknown. Just what I'll find there, I don't know, as my cowboy boot heel taps out the rhythm of my soul. May find danger, I may find strangers dressed as angels unaware. May find grief, I may find peace for girls with raven hair. I'll trade these jewels for things I need. God will protect me as I sleep. My Indian blankets will keep me from the cold as my cowboy boot heel taps out the rhythm of my soul. Has it been a week or a day? Is this the trail or have I lost my way? Up ahead I see your ghost as my cowboy boot heel taps out the rhythm of my soul. There are spirits all around. I lose my grip and fall to the ground. My pony's head is hanging low as an angel's boot heel taps out the rhythm of my soul. An angel's boot heel taps out the rhythm of my soul. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's good to be here. This next song is called Blowing Out of Town, and when we recorded it, it only had 3 verses, but on the road with Hot Tuna, Jack Cassidy would always come out and play bass on this song, and he informed me on several occasions it needed to be longer, so we wrote another verse. So if you got the record, you're going to hear a verse you're not used to here. Storm rising. Might be years before they blow. Storm clouds rising. Might be years before they blow. Baptizing the wind, the rain, and the snow. Highball freight train. Can you hear that whistle moan? Highball freight train. Can you hear that whistle moan? Well, I'm debating, should I stay or go? Walk the steel rail till I ride that cannonball. Walk the steel rail till I ride that cannonball. Bid farewell to you, one and all. Day and night surely turns to weeks and years. Day and night surely turns to weeks and years. We just might meet again somewhere.
Monsters do have their place. In the zoo, in your nightmares, in the deep, in your favorite horror movies. But not in your living room, on your TV. Don't let pay TV be the monster in your living room. Pay TV and cable TV companies are seeking the right to charge you for the very programs you now get free. If you want to stop pay TV and save free television, sign the petition in the lobby of this theater. Let your lawmakers know how you feel in the fight against pay TV and cable TV.
All right, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so much. I am honored to be here with Rob McNerlin.
I'm honored to be here with you. Thank you.
Really enjoyed those first two songs.
Well, thank you so much.
You wrote them, of course.
Yes.
And one of the things that we like to try to get into here on Art This, and musicians aren't usually very forthcoming. They say things like, well, it just sort of happens. You know, I bump my head and I have a song. So, but I'd like to ask you, if you could, to maybe show us a little bit of how the trick gets done. How do you get started? How do you know you're on to something? And when you get stuck, how do you get unstuck?
that's the hard one, that last one there, getting unstuck. But, you know, I used to try to write a song a day. Now, I'm not saying I always wrote a good song, but I would try to write every day. And I gave up on that because I wasted a whole lot of time. But so now I just kind of wait for what I think is a good idea. And I'll sometimes, most of the time, the words come first, or at least a phrase or something for me. And but I've done all kinds of tricks as far as, let's say I get some words that I like and I don't have a melody or something. I'll take a melody from one of my favorite songs, write all the words to that melody, and then throw the melody away and try to put different music to those, just anything to keep something going, you know, and that works sometimes. But
So that helps you round out the lyric.
yeah,
Get it fleshed
and
out.
the I don't know, this is probably real cliched, but most of the good songs do just kind of come out. I think it's just a gift from God. He says, here, you can have this song.
You got to be ready for it, though.
Well, yeah, you got to be paying attention.
Right, right.
At least,
And
you know,
so
you're not gonna
are
be,
you, is there something you're listening for, or just a feeling or a hunch and say, yeah, this is worth, it's not just some
Yeah.
whim, it's really worth tackling?
yeah, I mean, it's just inspiration. I mean, there's things that kind of pop in front of you that maybe doesn't inspire me, and so I just don't really do much. I can't tell you how many notebooks full of ideas I have that I've never done anything with.
Right.
But sometimes that one idea will come along, and it really gets. It's like hearing your favorite song or something. You didn't know it was your favorite song. You hear a song on the radio or a record, and you go, "Man, I love that." Well, sometimes that happens, I guess,
Yes.
as a songwriter. Something jumps in front of you or in your mind, and you go, "Oh, I like that.
Yes.
Let's pursue that."
It fits
You know?
somehow.
Yeah, somehow.
Now I've noticed in your first two songs that
Mm-hmm.
there is what we might call a somber theme, especially in that first
No,
one.
those were my upbeat songs.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, okay then.
We did a TV show one time, and they actually told us, they said, well, we want you to start with your happiest, most uplifting song, and the
Yeah.
whole band just looked at me
Yeah,
like,
like, do we
"They
have
haven't
any of
heard-
those?"
They haven't heard this guy before, have we? So,
But
yeah,
even
it's,
though there's a seriousness,
Mm-hmm.
especially that first one, it's kind of a metaphysical, crisis. But it's got a happy element to it, or an uplifting element to it. You're not like Pink Floyd. You don't just kick us into the chasm and say goodbye now.
Yeah.
You actually do something to pick it back up, even though you're contemplating something deep. Is that on purpose, or does that just happen?
I would like to say it was on purpose, but it probably just happens. But I'm not a big fan, and this is going to sound really morbid, but I'm not a big fan of this life, as it were. But I do believe there's something a whole lot better when this is over with. So maybe that's the reason, that things come out that way.
Yes.
Because I know as bad as it can get here sometimes.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't. I've got a great life, I really do. But you look around, there's a lot of not so good stuff going on. But
Yeah.
I know that later on there's something better.
Well, it's almost too easy to get down and just stay down in songwriting, and it's like a cheap shot almost. So I'm glad that you're pulling it up. Pulling it up, and you also do that with your appearance. And part of an artist's work is a musician is how they sound, but you take it into the full 4 dimensions of appearance. Is there what's behind your motive there?
Well, I mean, I didn't always dress this way, of course, but I would if I could. But this is the entertainment business. Whether you like it or not, it's the entertainment business, and I try not to look like I'm getting ready to mow your lawn or
Right.
something when I come on stage.
Right.
And
In fact, I just finished that.
did you? Didn't mean to offend you in any way. But,
That's all right. I dressed for an earthquake. Just
okay. But when I was just a kid, we always used to go to Louisville to the Kentucky State Fair for the reason of seeing the rodeo. My dad raised horses, still raises horses, and they always had some entertainment during some country acts, or maybe an actor like Fess Parker that played Daniel Boone was there. And when I was just a little boy, one of the entertainers that year was, I think I was 3 or 4 years old, was Sons of the Pioneers. And if you've ever been in Freedom Hall, it's a big old place. They got big spotlights on each end and on each side. And so it would go dark, and the first note, those spotlights would come on. And there was Sons of the Pioneers all decked out in these rhinestone suits. And, of course, they were just reflecting. It was like diamonds shining. I mean, I actually wrote a song about it called Rhinestoned. But, and that really affected me. And then, of course, started watching the Porter Wagner show on TV. And I just always liked that.
Yeah.
Okay,
You named one of your CDs Rhinestone, didn't you?
Yes, yeah. And that, whether you got rhinestones on, I'm a big Johnny Cash fan, big Hank Williams fan. And those guys always dressed, And always been around horses. I was always into the Western stuff. And
It works.
It's
It is
just- well,
seamless. It
I
really is
love
nice.
it. I don't know.
Yeah,
you
you
know.
wear it well, Rob.
Thank you.
You wear it
Thank
well.
you very much.
Speaking of CDs, we really should talk about the one you just recorded.
Brand new.
Tell us a little bit about who's on it and why you like it.
Well, let's see, I guess it's about 6 years ago this month or maybe next month, I officially moved to Nashville and, you know, made a million trips back and forth between here and there, but moved down there officially. And so all the songs, except for one, were all songs I wrote after I moved to Nashville. And so it's got a real country, you know, and actually the song that wasn't wrote after I moved there is a song about an old Martin D45 that Marty Stewart owns. So it has a big Nashville connection. But so it was just kind of tipping my hat to how the folks treated me in Nashville and the songs that I've wrote since I've been down there. And let's see, who's on it? Kenny Vaughn plays with Marty Stewart. He plays lead guitar on it. JT Cure, that, you know, I think everybody here knows JT. He played bass. Caton Roberts, member of the Steel Guitar Hall of Fame, and 30 years with Hank Snow on the road and the Grand Ole Opry playing steel. And on a couple of cuts, Jimmy Fadden from the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band's playing harp and drums.
Not too shabby.
No, you know, a band like that, you don't have to be that good. You just chase them through the song, and it works. Yeah, that's it. There you go. But yeah, and I'm proud of the record. It seemed to turn out good.
Can you stick around and play a couple more for us?
Absolutely, be honored
All right.
to.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, sir.
Pleasure talking
Thank
to
you.
you. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with Rob McNerlin.
Thanks.
All right,
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, sun. I know you're behind those clouds. Good morning, sun. I know you're behind those clouds. Maybe later today you'll come out. Had the blues for breakfast, thinking of old times. Had the blues for breakfast, thinking of old times. Maybe later today I'll clear my mind.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'd like to introduce these fine folks. This is Aaron Tatterson playing the Telecaster guitar. And the one and only Les Worley on the stand-up bass. Appreciate them being with me. I'd like to end it. We always end our shows with a little gospel number, and so in case you missed church this week, we'll do it right now.
Are you on the rock and roll, brother? Are you on the rock and roll? Are you standing on the rock? Is your name on the roll? Are you on the rock and roll? It's a mighty, mighty long way to glory, but you're bound to go. No matter what lies in the path ahead, if you're on the rock and roll. Are you on the rock and roll, brother? Are you on the rock and roll? Are you standing on the rock? Is your name on the roll? Are you on the rock and roll? Where Jesus stands ready and waiting to save your poor weary soul. He wants to write your name in glory and put you on the rock and roll. Are you on the rock and roll, brother? Are you on the rock and roll? Are you standing on the rock? Is your name on the roll? Are you on the rock and roll? Are you on the rock and roll, brother? Are you on the rock and roll? Are you standing on the rock? Is your name on the roll? Are you on the rock and roll? Well, are you on the rock and roll?
Thank you very much. Bless your hearts. Thank you.
It never gets old, huh?
Nope.
It kind of makes you wanna.
Breaking the song?
Yup. I love the sunset.
I love Eagle Lake.
I love the forest. I love when eagles play. I love the campus! And all its sights and sounds.
Boom-de-yada, 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 boom-de-yada.
I love philosophy.
We love diversity. I love English.
And all its weird words.
I love the music.
And all its melodies. Boom-de-yada, boom-de-yada.
Boom-de-yada, boom-de-yada.
I love fraternities.
I love sororities.
I love to draw things.
And all the athletes.
I love Moorhead.
It's such a pretty place.
Boom-de-yada, 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 boom-de-yada.
All right, welcome back one more time. And we are here with our other student producer, Carrie.
Hello.
And Carrie went out in the field and did a fantastic feature this week on the Folk Arts Center here in Moorhead, Kentucky. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the piece you did, Carrie?
I sat down with Matthew Collinsworth and got an interview with him and shot some shots of the art they have on display.
You know, the Kentucky Folk Arts Center is probably one of the coolest, most unique museums, I think, in the
really
state of
is.
Kentucky. So.
And it's the only one we have.
It's gorgeous, too.
Yes.
Let's take a look at that.
Art is any creative production by humans. I don't know if I have a definition beyond that. It's a broad category. My name is Matt Collinsworth. I'm director here at the Kentucky Folk Arts Center, as well as a senior director of cultural outreach. I'm interested in art. I'd better be if I'm going to be a museum director. Had an interest in the visual art for a long time, even though I'm trained in the literary arts. I fell into museum work. The Kentucky Folk Arts Center was a great place, and it was a place I always wanted to work. I've been here at the museum for 12 years, and I've enjoyed it immensely. You get to meet a lot of interesting people in this shop. There's lots of interesting artists, lots of collectors, lots of people across Kentucky and from all over the world that come in here on a weekly basis. At the Kentucky Folk Art Center, we always have a selection of works from our permanent collection on the first floor that rotates out regularly. We have about 1,400 pieces in our collection, and the collection's growing all the time. And at any one time, we'll have 80 to 100 of those pieces displayed on the first floor. Upstairs, we do changing exhibitions. Those are typically things that we've curated ourselves. We don't have a lot of money to bring in traveling shows here. We can only do that about once every 2 years. Currently, our show is folk art with snakes or serpents in it. That's a very prominent theme or image in Kentucky folk art, and we decided to do a show that focuses on that. Snakes are a dominant image in contemporary folk art in the state. The snake's role in the Bible and to the fact that Eastern Kentucky is a snaky place. So that exhibition's been a lot of fun. That'll be up through May. We tend to show, at least in the downstairs gallery, we're the Kentucky Folk Art Center. Therefore, we collect and present the work of self-taught artists. And most of our efforts here at the museum goes into exhibiting and promoting the work of those artists. Upstairs, we'll sometimes show fine art, or we'll sometimes do an open call that will include fine artists. But most of what we show here is folk art. I would just invite folks from campus to come in. If you've never been to the Folk Art Center before, admission is free. We're open from 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday. Lots of times students don't come in as regularly as we might hope, so it's a good opportunity. We're the only art museum in Appalachian, Kentucky. So if you're interested in the visual arts, this is the only museum in the region to come to. So we invite anyone in who wants to come. Our big event that's upcoming is the first weekend in June. We have a Day in the Country Folk Art Fair across the street at the Conference Center. That's 50 or 60 folk artists from about 10 different states come and sell their work directly to the public, and we'll have an exhibition opening and a lot of other activities scheduled around that weekend, so it's a lot of fun.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody. This next feature is a little bit of unusual artwork, you might say. It's a music video recorded by T-Bone James Kelly. His name's Jim Kelly. He lives in Ireland now, but I grew up with him in northern Illinois, out in the boonies west of Chicago. Dr. James Kelly is also a street performer and an educator, in addition to his tremendous talents as a blues musician. He's played all over Europe, including Ireland, France, England, and all those other European countries. Let's take a look at Jim Kelly, T-Bone Kelly, as he does Happy and Dead.
Still the sweetest breath of song, and loosened love from its chains, who made it easy to be born, a thing that had no pain. A dusk has blighted Psyche's wings, and a wild beauty dies. The fragrance and the glow were born of its own agonize. Rainbows have vanished in dark air, and night without an eye is blind. I too am starless, time has blurred the eons of my life behind. What in those darkest fears would lie? What turmoil, beauty, and desire? I know not all are lost beyond sunsets of anguish and of fire.
Hey, thank you. Right. Hey, how about Rob McNerlin and the Beating the Cowboys?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I really appreciate them coming in. Thank you so much. And this wild audience, this
Thank you.
history-making audience. Give yourselves a big hand. So well-behaved, so hygienic.
I know.
We really do.
That's a problem with our studio audience.
Yeah, we really
sometimes,
appreciate
so, yeah.
that. Nothing was thrown.
No, no.
So it's been 15 episodes.
15 episodes. That's
We're
right.
wrapping up our 4th season.
That's right.
What are your plans for the summer, Stephen?
Well, let's see. My documentary, Commonwealth Curiosities, is going to start airing on all 3 KT networks starting in June. And then I'm going to do a part 2.
Wow, how about that?
This summer, I'm going out to Funtown Mountain, formerly known as Guntown Mountain. It's been reopened with wax museums and all kinds of fun. How about you?
Funtown's a little catchier
Funtown,
than Guntown anyway.
yeah.
Well, I'm a little concerned about my health, Stephen.
What's wrong?
Well, I'm going on a low-fat diet. Yeah, I'm going to
Low-fat?
lay low and get fat all summer.
That's a pretty good idea. That's a great idea.
All right, well, we've had a blast this
We
year.
did, yeah.
Great crew.
Yes,
Master of the
thank you,
Universe,
crew.
Tim Creekmore, world's
Thank you,
greatest
Tim.
director.
That's right.
How about that? All right.
Fantastic,
John Flavel, and DJ
John
Moda taking
Flavel,
pictures,
yes.
and a wonderful crew of students. You'll
Right,
see all
and,
their mugs in the credits.
Thanks to our student producers, Carrie Maynard and John Tanner Blevins.
Yes.
So thank you two for
On to
helping us
greener
this
pastures
semester.
for you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
All right. Should we get out of here?
We should.
Let's do it.
Ready?
1, 2, 3. All right, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Yeah.
That's good too.